Hello, can anybody hear me? You have some weird problems here. Hello? 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 Anyone there? Only hear me? Yeah, I can't hear or see the others. I don't know what's going on here. This is why I hate PCs. Because they're really unreliable, predictable. I don't know what's happened to them too. Yeah, me too. This is where I left PC gaming because you cannot touch a thing, change anything, but things will change because it's PC, it will just change itself. I've not changed anything since last week, but for whatever reason, it just stopped working. So I don't know. Can you hear me? You've got a driver update, Red. I think Red's telling me she's got a driver update. We're live now on the channel. Can you join that? I've reset the computer though. I've got no update or anything. Nothing come up. It tells me I have an update, and everyone can hear me. They can't hear you. I don't know what else I can do. Let's do that. This. Everything's fine. All my settings are fine. It's even showing I'm talking. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. No, it always works. PC's 100% perfect. No, it just. I don't know if it's OBS or something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, Red's telling me they can't hear you. Yeah, they can't hear you guys. I don't know what it is that they can't hear you, but they can hear us. I don't know what I can do. Weird. They said I might need a drive update, but my computer's not requested it. There's no thing for it. I don't know what it would be. Discord. Hear me? Hello? Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah. But can you hear? Can anyone hear you now? Gisno, can you hear anyone? I don't know what it was. I don't know what it could be. It's weird. We had a lot of storms in the UK that's basically wiped out the UK. I don't know if that would have any effect on anything, but there's loads of powers down in the UK, across the UK. Yeah. See, I don't know how they can hear me. Yeah, how can they hear? I can hear you. How can they? Why would it only be just me though? It's weird. It's so annoys me about PC. Well, they don't change it since last week, and it was all working fine. Right. So if I go into audio. So under audio, under OBS, under audio, desktop audio. So under OBS, so we've got general. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Has that changed itself at all?
No, use desktop, use device timestamps. Default.
Yeah.
Use the default. Headphones.
Yeah. If the audio is coming through your headphones, try that maybe.
Hello, hear me now? Is that making a difference?
We can hear. I'm hoping that.
Can anyone else hear?
Oh, it's working.
Is it?
Wait, can you hear me, guys? I think.
There must be a massive delay because I'm not getting anything from anyone.
Wait, I just heard me for a second.
Oh.
Is anybody out there?
There's Panda, yes. Okay,
So can
you guys hear Ashtray? Can you hear Ashtray?
Can you guys hear me at all?
We have like a,
Yeah.
I think we've got like a 20-second
Yes,
delay.
we got a yes. We got a yes.
That's me, so they know that they can hear me.
So can you hear all of us?
Oh my god, you sound so loud.
Do I sound echoey now or okay? Is that yes, you can hear all of us?
I just don't hear Ashtray now.
Wait.
Fuck,
Awesome.
how? Why wouldn't it though?
I don't know.
Why would you just cut out one
It's
person?
weird.
One second. Oh wait, Grey Monad said yes, but can Grey? Can you
Yes,
say
what?
yes? We can hear Ashtray.
Yeah, we need a
Why would
bit
it just
more.
cut out one person?
They can hear Ashtray.
Okay.
Shizno can hear Ashtray. Okay, I figured it
Okay.
out, guys.
But why would it change settings? This is why I hate PCs. Nobody buy a PC. Console master race. If this whole set was on console, we wouldn't have these issues. Let's be honest. I hate PCs.
Okay.
Right.
Well.
So are we all going? Good to go now.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's
He
do
can
it.
hear,
Right.
they can hear all of us.
For the love of God.
That took
45
45
minutes
minutes to fix a leak.
Yeah.
Damn.
And all you needed to do was check your desktop audio. Oh my
No,
god.
it wasn't my desktop audio. It was OBS. The
And you
OBS
don't-
settings have changed. My desktop
And
audio is fine.
Oh, I meant desktop audio source in OBS. They said that you don't sound like you're in the bottom of a toilet anymore, Elite, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, but why would it why would it change things? Why would it reset or do anything?
Updates.
I don't know, but Not those
Yeah,
Windows.
no, but if things update, it's Windows. What do you expect? Like,
Right.
yes.
Where was we? Should we just get straight into topics?
Yes.
yeah.
You know where we are.
Let's do it.
Get into it. Oh, it annoys me so much. I hate this kind of shit. Right.
Hi, Boba.
Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Shizno. Hi, Gray. Hi, Try Hard for all sticking with us while we figured it out.
Yeah, fucking hell. It could be so many places though. It could be Discord. It could be OBS. It could be I don't know anything.
I really think the
Discord.
fault lies with you.
Okay.
I really think the fault lies with you. Yeah, user error.
Though I've literally
It's
done
still
nothing.
Rand's fault.
That's why it's your fault. No, I'm kidding.
Though it's literally, I've literally not done anything. Nothing. I've changed nothing. So it's just,
Grey Monad says it's Rand's fault for cancelling us.
yeah, that's it. He blew us out, everyone. So you've all come to see Rand, not us, and he's not here.
Fuck you, Sid.
Fuck
You are absolutely rubbish.
Yeah. Right,
I think they're asking if we're all well, so I think we should definitely check that in and make sure that they know that we're all well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
topics before it does it again. We're both.
Right.
I'm well. Fuck you. And Ashtray, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Right. Okay. I'm okay. I'm going to be honest here. I've been to a native birthday party, which is a really close family member that I've known for about 47 years. And yeah, I've had a few beers. Okay.
So it is your fault.
It's not really my fault because I hadn't changed anything. I expect what I expect is what I expect in life. I expect when I log off something, I log back into it, and it be the same. I don't expect anything to change, and this is why I hate PC because PC does randomly just edit stuff, just change stuff.
Hi, Dauntless Dragon X. Thank you for joining us. We're finally up and running. Let's get into these topics.
Get these topics. Thank you all for joining us. Please share and sub and do whatever you need to do to make us big and powerful and famous.
I'm just going to
get into
awkwardly leave the podcast now. Awkwardly exit.
Right. Should we get into our first topic?
Yeah.
The topics they're so far up the chat now. we list our topics and they're like right up the chat. Okay. Right. So our first topic. Horizon Forbidden West scoring 89 / now 88%. Well, that's actually complaining when it was at 89%. Now it's 88%. I've not actually heard much complaints. But yeah, there's loads of things to break out with this Horizon Forbidden West thing. First, we've got the whole thing about it being rated, and then moaning at Metacritic now, saying Metacritic's fixed and yada yada. But then we've also got the popping stuff. But then we've also got the price point. So where should we begin? Red Dead Panda.
I kind of want to hear from Ashtray Gaming first off, because he's actually played the game on the PS4, and I think everything is gonna. He's planning on undercover pony, and he's going to be calling us Xbox throughout the show, guys, because he's flip-flopped back to the end because Horizon Forbidden West has clearly changed.
I'd like to just jump in here, sorry, because we was all playing Xbox yesterday. We was all playing Sea of Thieves, and Ashtray actually cut out to play Horizon Forbidden West instead of playing Sea of Thieves. All this, that's a whole. It was like 20, 30 of us all playing Sea of Thieves. And he blew us all out to play Horizon Forbidden West. And he went, screw you, what do you call it, Xbox or something like that? Yeah. He was like,
you've had a drink, haven't you, Elite?
He was like, yeah.
I'm enjoying this.
And he was like I'm pure pony. And then dashed and just dumped us in it. So, guys, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, look, I am playing it on the PS4 Slim. I can't speak for the PS5 version. I think an 88 definitely is a correct score for it. I was hoping for, I think I said a 94. I was that hyped for it because I really enjoyed the first game, but it's kind of strange. It plays just like the first game, and it's weird, and I think it's because it's been a few years since that the mechanics actually kind of feel dated now to me. So, so I was hoping that, I mean, I don't mind the mechanics being the same because it's the game, that's what it's known for, but they kind of feel sluggish. So that's a bit disappointing, but I've had plenty of pop in on the game. I've had, I was climbing a mountain that was invisible.
Can I just cut you? You playing on the PS4, but you're playing on the PS4 version here?
Yeah, the PS4 Slim. Yeah. So, I was climbing an invisible mountain there for a while.
Nice.
It's weird. Like I'm getting this sort of, I was getting this shimmering where you'd move the screen, it would brighten up, and then it would go darker, and it was kind of strange as well. So it's had a few technical issues. I'm just looking on Metacritic. Its user score is 5.3.
Oh wow!
So
that'd be put down to the extra gamers.
Is that the PS4 user score?
that's the PS5 user score.
Oh, I just want to refresh mine because mine shows 4.0, so maybe it's just updated itself.
The PS4 version has a 2.
Oh, the user score's up to 6.0. Damn.
Masterpiece.
45 minutes ago, it was sitting at like 27 user scores, and now everyone is just popping.
It's crazy, isn't it? People aren't happy. Look, there's going to be some review bombing in there as well, but if it is a bit buggy as well, so they need to. Can
I just very quickly read Boba Fett Gaming super chat where he says 88 is the new 68 trash. Ashtray's a pony. Yeah. Yeah. So if Ashtray's a pony, hit that like button, guys. Make sure you sub to his channel and message him in the DMs and just call him a pony. Yeah, he'll love it.
Tryhard actually said it's been review bombed right now.
Yeah, look, it probably is.
Yeah,
and now they'll tidy that up a bit, but
I'm such a user score. I just like to come in there. I'm a bit annoyed.
Go for it.
Does sound annoyed. I don't get why whenever PlayStation games score low, they're review bombed, but whenever Xbox games score low, it's just because they're trash. I know it's the same as Metacritic. The Metacritic score, it scored 88% or 89%. Oh, you got hateful, biased media scoring it down to a horrible 89 score. But then when Xbox games score in the 80s, 70s and 60s, it's like, oh, that's because the game's trash. I'm not getting this. Go on, sorry.
Listen to this. Okay. So I just refreshed it. So currently user score is 6.0. Positive, 181. Absolutely positive. 4 mixed, and then negative 130. So I think they might be right about people review bombing it. But
what do I think there's bugs though?
Yeah, there is that fact that like a lot of the comments about like the fact that it was buggy and it was a disappointment and like they thought it would take it to the next level. But back to this 88 Metacritic score that it currently is sitting at. How are you guys feeling about the reaction that the PlayStation community had when it didn't score a 90 or higher and it scored initially the same as the previous game? What are your guys' thoughts on that, Ashtray?
Well, it's a bit of a joke, isn't it? I mean, in my opinion, anything above 70 is a good score.
Yeah, I agree.
For any game, really. I mean, people are getting this silly narrative that it's got to be over 90, and that's just an expectation that not all games are going to hit.
Yep.
And again, Horizon Forbidden West deserves an 88. It's a legitimate score in my book. If they can fix the bugs, it might could improve the score maybe, but it's probably going to be a little bit too late for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just trying to have this 90 plus narrative and every game's a banger and all this kind of stuff. And, it's a joke at the end of the day, but they're always just the loud ones.
Yeah.
I don't take much notice of those people. But, the ones that were also running with the narrative of, $70 games are more premium. Well, are they? Because this really doesn't translate to that narrative either. So, I actually went and got the special edition, so I've got a steel book and all that kind of stuff. That's how much of a pony I am. I put it up on Twitter so you could see just to rub it in. But yeah,
you get some pony love.
No, because I got them all blocked. I got a huge majority.
I don't even know how big a pony you are.
Exactly.
You're a massive pony.
Yeah. So anyway, what can you do?
I remember you. Last night you was calling yourself a pony.
Yeah.
Massive pony.
Elite, what are your thoughts on the PlayStation gamers' reaction, the hardcore toxic part of the community for the game getting 88? What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Okay. When they first was crying that it scored 89, and what was weird is they put all their blame on Survivor, which there was other people that scored it low that's equally the same as Survivor. They seem to just throw all their hate at Survivor. It's Survivor, isn't it? Which is weird. Secondly, as many people have pointed out, that Survivor isn't a person. There isn't a guy in the world called Survivor that walks around the world and his name is Survivor. It's actually a site. A website.
If there was, it'd be blonde hair.
And Australian, most definitely, with the name Survivor. He would be, wouldn't he? Hello, I'm Survivor, mate. You just know it.
I'm a survivor. I just couldn't help it.
Oh, shit.
But if Survivor was in the world, it's a site, and the people that because they keep comparing it to Halo and saying, "Oh, that scored differently by Survivor," but it was a different guy that rated Halo because shock horror. There's more than one person that reviews sites, and so there should be, because there's not one guy who'd just be off his head having to play every single game in the world and scrape every single game in the world. So, firstly, Halo and Horizon Zero Dawn scored differently because they had different opinions from different people. Full stop. So stop with it. Oh, it's biased nonsense, right? Different people. Secondly, you can't fucking bleed bias when for 10 years Xbox, well, still are, Xbox games have been rated low, as you would say, but then you can't, you're not calling them that bias there. But when an Xbox, a PlayStation game scores 89%, you're claiming bias. Come on, man, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Considering all its issues, it's got bug issues, and it's got bug issues, it's got glitches, it's got popping, and then should we get onto the whole? What was the other thing? What's the other thing? Go on, sorry.
We've got lots to talk about on that topic.
Yeah,
but,
we have. Loads.
I think there's lots to talk about this, but I think Horizon Forbidden West getting an 88, that is not a bad score.
No,
and
still
for
not
those
bad.
who are just picking up those negative scores, review scores, and taking that and using that to talk about media bias and so on and so forth, you guys have been using Metacritic forever, talking about how great your games are.
Yeah.
So the moment you get a negative review score on Metacritic, and it basically shatters your expectation of what a PlayStation first party AAA 30 FPS 4K banger, what story driven, third person, whatever you want to call it. Oh my god, there's so many things you can say about their games. To then turn around and call media bias and all this other rubbish, I think it's a bit short-sighted, and I think you guys are just really, really hurt that it didn't live up to your expectations. We've got to remember that review scores are opinions, and it's really important to remind ourselves about that. Like, you when I go buy a game, I would use a review score to decide whether or not I'm going to buy it day one, or whether or not I'm going to wait for it to go on discount, or maybe go into Gamepass or something. That's what I kind of use it as a guideline. But I think we've really got to stop putting Metacritic scores on a pedestal and telling us, is it a good game or not? Because me playing a game and enjoying it is my experience. You could tell me till you're blue in the face that you recommend this game, that it's amazing, but I'm never going to believe you until I play it myself. I could believe you, but I until I actually play it myself with first-hand experience, that's when I'm going to make the decision as to whether or not I think you were accurate about what you told me. And I feel like they just use Metacritic now as a point to kind of justify their purchase, and justify trolling the community if any other game doesn't do as well as a PlayStation game. There's that toxic side of that community that really needs to remember what gaming is about. And if you want to know if a game is good, go to your trusted hardcore gamers. They're going to tell you how it is, because I think reviews aren't... I think you're never going to have a review that's not biased. There is always going to be unconscious bias. You're always going to run into the fact, like when I was looking at the Horizon Forbidden West stuff, and I think Tryhard made a good point in the chat, and I'll bring it up in a moment. When I was watching that, I remember, if if an Xbox game came out buggy as hell, and they gave us hell and why Halo was delayed with pop-in and other things, that would have been a negative aspect on the score, and they would have consistently mentioned it. But it seems to get sort of brushed over when it's PlayStation because they just have this expectation and everything else is good enough to kind of ignore the misgivings of the game. I think we also really need to look at we'll talk about this with oh my god, what's the word for it? Cyberpunk. But like Tryhard made a really good point that like if bugs and glitches warrant a 3 out of 10, that means GTA 5 and every other open world game.
There's so many games that are just glitchy. It's usually big games that are glitchy messes, to be honest.
But like
what does Rand have to say about this?
Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm going, guys. Rand couldn't make it. I didn't put it out on Twitter that he couldn't make it. But like, for them to complain that 88 is a bad score, like 89 is a bad score because it didn't live up to the expectation, you guys have forgotten what it means to be a gamer, as far as I'm concerned. You're so focused on scores, you're so focused on one-upping the competition that you guys don't even remember that you can enjoy games for the sake of gaming. I was saying to Ashtray earlier before Elite joined us in Discord that Twitter has been overly pretty much palatable because I haven't been seeing all these toxic people posting non-stop because they're busy playing Horizon Forbidden West. Like when they don't have a game, they're busy playing Twitter. And what's the Metacritic for Twitter? Yeah. It's just interesting and sad to see that this is what your community has turned into. You guys aren't real gamers anymore, as far as I'm concerned. You guys are just toxic console warriors. And I'm talking about that select, loud portion of the community that is on that side. Not talking about the people who are actually genuinely decent, logical, level-headed people and can tell it like it is.
Yeah. As I don't like to say, I just think Sony fans seem to think all their games should be 10 out of 10, and then you have to give reasons for why it's not 10 out of 10. But their games, it's like their games should be 10 out of 10 from day one. You know what I mean? It's like they're 10 out of 10, and now prove why it's not worthy of 10 out of 10. Where, as we spoke about this last week, didn't we, Ashtray? Where we don't think games should be 10 out of 10. Not even games shouldn't even be 9 out of 10. That's just madness to say a game's 9 or 10 out of 10. I think that's very rare.
A 10 out of 10 is an impossible score, in my opinion.
Impossible score, yeah. And I 100% agree with you. 9 out of 10, I think, should be close to impossible.
Well, that's why they average it and aggregate it that way. But has anyone actually ever scored a complete 100 on Metacritic? Because you've got like 97s and 98s.
Yeah,
but I don't
it's ridiculous. But that in itself is ridiculous.
I think the highest rated game is 98 or 99, which is like Zelda Ocarina of Time
Zelda
or something
Witch
like
or
that.
something. Yeah.
Halo scored 97, I think the original was Halo. I believe it's
sounds about right. Yeah.
And I played and I thought it was awful. That's ouch. I'm punching the stomach now. But
who's the pony now?
Yeah, exactly. But I did think it's worth 97%. There's no way. I thought this is the best game ever. No way. And it's down to opinions. But at the same time, this is why I think things shouldn't be scored 10 out of 10 for a start. Things should be broken down to stuff like the score should be rated out of gameplay, should be rated out of story, should be rated out of value for money, if you're getting your value for money, which is what we're going to go into on Horizon Zero Dawn, because that's another topic. And then things like buggy issues, and then longevity should be another rating. All these things should accumulate to give you a score. And if you're giving a game a 10 out of 10, which is a complete broken, buggy mess, then you're thinking, what's your breakdown of this game? You're playing it you're not taking into any accounts like the longevity of it, the bugs, the issues of it, the story. Nothing should be 10 out of 10. I'm sorry, nothing should be 10 out of 10.
I agree, because I think 10 out of 10 game means there's nothing to iterate on and improve on.
It's
100%.
Yeah. It's like
but
you could be playing a game.
I was just going to say, every game's got some sort of glitch that you have to deduct a point from it.
Yep.
You know, it could be an audio issue, it could be a graphical issue, it could be a gameplay problem, could be a story thing. Nothing. A 10 out of 10 for each of those categories is impossible, in my opinion. But yeah, like I said, Zelda Ocarina of Time 99 is number one, and that was released on the N64 in 1998.
And in my opinion, my own opinion, I don't think that's the best Zelda game.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's the best Zelda game. I wouldn't have scored it a 99. It was amazing when I played it when I was younger, but my favourite Zelda game is not Ocarina of Time, it's Wind Waker. So it is a matter of opinion. But Astray, because you've actually played it, and I'm not going to give my own details about what I think of the game other than what we're talking about now, but what did you, out of 10 or out of 100, whatever you want to say, what did you initially feel about Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game? And then what you've played so far as an initial, I guess, initial, pony. Initial, what's the word for it? I can't think of it. Opinion about it. What would you kind of rate it at the moment? So what was your rating of your the first game, and what would you sort of rate the second game at? Because I think you've played it, so I think it's a valid opinion to ask that.
Well, look, I'm still sort of in the early stages of Forbidden West, so I really need more time with it to give it, a proper opinion on it. But as it stands now, so Horizon Zero Dawn, I really enjoyed it. I really got engaged with it, with the combat and the whole, just the whole premise. Okay, now I could never give it a 10 out of 10 because the voice acting was terrible, and it still is.
Is it?
The lady that plays Aloy, she's just so deadpan. It's just, she doesn't really have emotion.
Personality.
Sort of a bit monotone,
personality. She's a bit bland, a bit flat. I was hoping that would improve. But look, I so that's, I deduct points off right there. I'm sort of jumping around a bit, I guess, but for me, Horizon Zero Dawn was a really enjoyable game. I actually played through it twice. I enjoyed it that much, and I'd sort of say that for me, that was about a 90. I think it got 89, so I'm not far off that. So I had high expectations for this game. Looking at the all the previews and things like that, it's like, build hype, because you can, the way I sort of explained it last week was the game was good when it was Horizon Zero Dawn, and you would think that they would only improve on that. But again, I'm only a few hours in, and it kind of feels like the same game. Now, I know that sounds weird, but being a few years later, I would have thought that they'd sort of improve the mechanics a little bit more, whereas it kind of feels sluggish. And I'm sort of also probably comparing it to, like, I play a lot of Valhalla, and it might, some people might say that's an unfair example, but it's both open worlds. You're both doing melee combat. You're also, using, a bow and things like that. And it just kind of feels dated.
As you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of an issue for me, because I really enjoyed the combat from the first one again, but that was a few years ago now.
And the combat, it does look a bit
interesting to hear from PS5 side, because I reckon, how we upgraded to the series consoles, and you notice the difference around input lag and like responsiveness, and I think if you're playing the PS5, you probably have a different opinion. So it'd be interesting to hear about someone who's played it on the PS5. But I think your opinion is still valid, because there's that huge community that hasn't upgraded yet.
That is still playing it on the PS4, exactly. I'll use it's R1 and R2, which is the right bumper and trigger, and obviously the R2's for your more powerful attack, and it takes forever. It's like you press it and then it sort of takes a while to kick in. And I found, it's definitely got that lag. And look, they could probably just fix that with an update, just try and reduce the lag on that. But
do you think this explains why it was initially delayed? Because I know that we were like, it feels like it's delayed because Halo's coming out, but we also were like, better have it polished. Do you feel like that is the reason why it is only coming out?
I don't think it is. I don't think it ever had the intention to come out in 2021. Just the same as GT7 and God of War. I don't think they ever had the intention. I think they put that out there just to sell PlayStation 5s.
Yeah, I think they could have probably kept it under wraps for another 6 months or so.
Yeah.
at least, and just iron it out a bit more.
Tryhard fan said he's loving it. The game's a bit frustrating as it seems more difficult in the first game in the normal mode, but the loading's a huge difference. He appreciates the 60 FPS mode, but he's playing at 4K 30 because it looks way too good. I probably agree with you. I think if they hadn't done Horizon Forbidden West in the 60 FPS mode with checkerboarding, and they just made it a native 1440p and like bumped up everything, I think you'd have probably a different experience around 60 FPS mode.
Well, I just like to actually pick on Tryhard Fan. Firstly, she's not elite. I agree with that. We said we just need pros and cons. So that's what we do need. Just pros and cons. That's what scores should be based on.
Cons. Yep.
But I just like to point out that Tryhard said Yakuza 0 was a 10 out of 10, but it wasn't perfect. But you'd still score it 10 out of 10 even though you'd say it's not perfect. That's why I think that's the whole problem with it. That people are saying this game's not perfect, but it's 10 out of 10. Which in my mind is an oxymoron sort of thing. Yeah, you can't score something like a 10 out of 10 but then say it's not perfect, because a 10 out of 10 score is perfect. So, and then he's went on to kind of thinking the same about The Witcher 3 and Persona 5. Those stories were at least a 10 out of 10. Well, the stories were 10 out of 10, but not necessarily the game was 10 out of 10.
Because you have to look at the different facets.
The game, I thought the game
aggregated all together.
Personally, the Witcher 3 gameplay I thought was awful. That's what put me off. The gameplay, the story was okay, but after now I couldn't get into the combat. I thought the combat was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there.
And that's what put me right off the game. It was just, I don't know, it was something awful. The mechanics are terrible. And then once again, The Witcher 3 was full of glitches. People just ignore because they love Witcher 3, but that game was absolutely full of glitches. That was a mess. I mean, the roast of the horse was just all over the place.
Like Bethesda being known as Bugthesda?
Yeah.
And their games are still, I feel like...
CD Projekt Red's issues from day one, and then they're suddenly shocked that Cyberpunk releases with issues. And they thought, oh, what? This is new? Witcher 3 was full of problems and issues.
And they had to patch it to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit when we get to other stuff.
Yes, we will.
But, like, what are your guys' thoughts around the upgrade pathway then? Because you've got the PS4 version, which costs $60, and you get free access to the PS5 version when you eventually upgrade, which is nice for you, Astray, when you one day get a PS5, or PS6, who never knows.
You never know.
And you never know. And then you've got the upgrade pathway through. I mean, you've got the PS5 version, right, that you can buy straight through the PlayStation Store, but it doesn't let you choose which version you want to purchase. It basically just says, "Hey, the PS5 version, spend $70." Whereas I feel like you should get the opportunity to go, well, I could buy the PS4 version, save $10, spend that $10 somewhere else, and then still play the PS5 version. What are you guys feeling about this confusing and deceptive marketing around the upgrade pathway for the for Horizon?
Can I go first?
You can go first.
Yeah,
you can go
first.
It's your show.
I don't think there's anything confusing about it. I think they're just lying and they're just misleading players. Full stop. There's no confusion at all. They clearly said that they wasn't going to charge for an upgrade, and they told, I haven't been called out on it, they said they weren't going to do that. But then they clearly are, by still charging PS4 players 60 and PS5 players 70. So this is clearly on the sly charging for that upgrade, aren't they?
Yep.
So, and there is no misleading about it. They are lying to players still. So, go on, Ashley.
Yeah, but when it comes to the store, they're sort of hiding the PS4 version.
They are.
Because they want you to buy the PS5 version because it costs £70 as opposed to 60. So Sony's just been exceptionally, and I like to hear more from the PlayStation fanboys in the chat. Which they've been this generation. They've been really sly and underhanded and dirty with their marketing and with their tactics with stuff like this. They seem to be hiding stuff. You know, they're pushing PS4s now over PS5, but then hiding PS4 games, sort of the money, and promoting the PS5 games. Buy the PS5, the $70 over the $60, but buy PS4, don't buy PS5 kind of thing. It's weird.
We're looking at it from a logical perspective, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at it from a perspective where if you could save $10, that's the smart thing to do, because that $10 could be used for anything else. However, I mentioned in a comment on Twitter, obviously, clearly wrong place to comment, about the fact that you should have the opportunity, because I read the article about the deceptive marketing and stuff, and I was like, you should have the opportunity to select on the PlayStation or on the PS5 which version you want to purchase. Do you want to save the $10 or do you not want to save the $10?
Yeah.
And some idiot in Twitter was like, just don't get takeaways and you'll save $10 right there. And then someone else was like, just don't eat. And it's like, they're like, gaming is a luxury. If you can't afford the game, don't do it. I'm like, that's not the point of this. If you are actively saying, I think this game is worth spending $70, you are out of your mind. Gamers are notorious for being stingy and not purchasing games day one because they don't want to pay for it day one full price. But for those who do, they should have an opportunity to get a $10 discount, because I feel like you're saying free upgrade to next gen. Why didn't they just make Horizon Forbidden West on the PS5 store $60 outright and said, hey, we're going to keep that promise. Anyone who wants to play it on the PS5 can just get it. I know it's for the PS4 gamers, but like just cut your losses, because it's just easier. And then every other game after that point, you can just have it back at $70. I feel like that $70 price point has really shot them in the foot, especially around getting other gamers to go in and go, yeah, I think it's worth it, especially if you've never come from PlayStation 4 and you're going straight into PS5, and then you have to swallow the $70 price point, which is like $120, $125 New Zealand. Whereas I could buy an Xbox game day one for $109 instead. Or sometimes 99, like, it just depends where I go. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it.
Go on, Astray, go. Fire.
Well, all I was going to say in regards to the pricing is that
That's enough.
it's a bad, and thank you. No, but it's a silly time to do it because Game Pass. So Xbox,
exactly.
I know other third-party companies are putting their games up to 70 as well. So there is that, but Xbox isn't. They're sticking to the 60, at least for now anyway.
Yeah.
And then they've got Game Pass. So if I was a random consumer just out to play, COD or something, you're gonna get steered more towards what is better for your value for money, right? So the Series S is cheaper, then you can just pick up Game Pass for $15 a month, and you can play a ton of games over spending $70 every year on that one exclusive PlayStation. So I don't know. I just think more options are better, and it's just a bad timing for them to be putting it up at that price. But then, they should have probably, if they were going to do it, they probably should have done it last gen when they were, leading the market so far in front and stuff like that. But now it's kind of shot. Yeah, I agree. They sort of shot themselves in the foot with that. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, you've got Game Pass. You can say Xbox has got their games are £60. They've also got Game Pass, but and there was another point.
Exactly what I said. You're copying what I said.
Yeah.
You've got EA Access for Game Pass as well, and on Ultimate.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft's probably going to join that eventually.
Get a discount on the games.
Yep.
Yes. So many perks. So many perks.
What do you guys? I mean, there's lots to unpack there, and we've talked. Elite and I have talked about this on previous podcasts about what we thought about $70 games and so on and so forth. I do agree with Tryhard saying that game should have really been next gen only. I know it would have missed out a whole heap of PS4 gamers, but I feel like the game was sort of, it didn't reach its full potential that it could reach as a result from like what we're wanting out of like next gen. Because they talked about being able to ride like those robot dinosaurs, the flying ones, and I don't think that is available in the new one, right?
Don't know yet. I haven't got that far.
Maybe. Well, there's no one talking about it, so I assume if no one's talking about it, then it's not a thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Happy to admit when I'm wrong. But yeah, it's just interesting around that. But like, what about that super fast SSD though, guys? Because that magical unicorn riding SSD that is.
Are we going to go on to the tips?
We're going to go on to how. Yeah, we're going to go on to that because I know you wanted to talk about it, and I'm pretty sure Astray wants to talk about it as well. But what do you guys think about the crazy fast SSD that they had to slow it down to allow the tips in the loading screen because the SSD is just too fast on the PS5?
Go on, Astray.
Elite, I'll start with you.
Okay. This is clearly shit, isn't it? It's clearly no developer would say, no developer would go, yeah, we had to slow our game down just to put tips in to give no developer would have said that. No developer would purposely slow their game down just so to include tips. What are these tips? These tips must be amazing to have to slow a game down. There must have to be some mega tips, mustn't they? It's ridiculous. It's complete fabrication. It's a lie. Just to make an excuse for why the game's got loading screens, basically, because they've promoted the SSD so hard that they have to think, oh no, it's got load screens in it. Why are they? Oh, the tips are so long. That's why. It's absolute nonsense. Astray, what you got?
Well, question: does the PS5 version still have pop-in?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
If the answer is yes, then it's clearly a lie.
Yeah.
So the loading screen on the PS4 version, depending on exactly sort of where, it takes around about 10 to 12 seconds to load, maybe a little bit longer when you first boot up the game, which isn't bad, right? And yeah, so the screen that loads is really sort of just a black screen, and it has tips on there, and you can, like most games. Yeah, exactly. And so apparently they're claiming that they had to slow the game down so that PS5 users could see the tips. Yeah. I know I sort of talk about Valhalla a lot, but that game loads super quick and it has tips. And if you miss it, you miss it. I mean, it's not really going to break your game or your enjoyment, or you can always pause the game and go to the options menu and look at your button controls if you really need to know which button to press.
Tips must they be? Are they like life tips? What these are tips to make you millions of pounds? What kind of tips are these that they need to hold back a game, a whole generation of console? And they've spent millions of pounds in this game to hold it all back just for these tips. It's just incredible. Is this what we're looking for the future of the SSD and the PS5? All PS5 games now. The next Spider-Man game, is it going to be held back because of tips?
Well, yes. I mean, one of the tips, because I got my video up that I took of it, it just says to slow down time while aiming, tap R3 to toggle concentration mode. That's it. Like we knew that from the first game anyway.
What's concentration mode?
So it's you know how like in some games when you can slow down time essentially.
Yep.
So while you're aiming with your bow, you can essentially just slow down some time, and then it gets you to
that sounds like cheating to me.
No, it's just a way to make sure you get. It's like kind of like focus. You like focusing in on your shot.
Cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheating.
I think like we were talking about this before the show as well, and saying that saying that yes, if it was working so efficiently on the PS5, you wouldn't be seeing the pop-in that you are. So there must be something with the asset loading pipeline as to issues around that, and it could be partly to do with being a cross-gen game. But like, if it's optimized for the PS5, then that shouldn't be an issue at this point. It just shouldn't be an issue. And to Ashtray's point, yeah, like there's pop-in on the PS5 version, like buildings pop in and they shouldn't be, and so on and so forth. So I think like when I remember looking at like the super fast SSD that it is, like when I think of The Witcher 3 as an example, when the backwards compatible mode became available, like you could play it on the Series X console, the Series S console, and the game would load in so fast that the asset streaming couldn't load in fast enough to keep up with the SSD. So your fast loading would load in, and then
bottleneck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there must be a bottleneck that is causing this. So it might not be the SSD, but there's something going on, and they really need to talk about it.
I'll fix it in an update.
But you see,
No doubt.
if you read the article, and this is what pisses me off when you read the article, they just talk about the speed of it. They don't talk about the fact that there is asset streaming problems. Like, if you're going to have an opinion or do an actual article and make it unbiased, talk about the issues that are in there and say, yes, this is what we've been told by the developers, but they're still waiting to get back to us about these asset streaming issues that we're noticing, because that doesn't line up with what they're telling us about the speed of the SSD.
Like, Red, maybe they need to put an update
disclaimer.
No, well, a map. What do you call it? A roadmap.
A roadmap, yeah.
Maybe they need to release a roadmap of some updates that they need to do and fixes.
Which is what Xbox does. And they get called out for it.
No, I don't think Horizon Forbidden West is anything on the level that was Cyberpunk.
No. I still think it needs. I think it needs a bit of an update on what's going on, so we can sort of.
But Sony
I need to hold off.
Sony never really addresses their issues with games, do they? Yeah, I agree with you. But Sony's never. Xbox used that, but Sony's never one to really address their issues with games. They generally just release games and go, there we go, get with it. And then they leave
just
their
like
fans.
Nintendo.
Yeah, they leave their fans just to damage control the problems. And I just want to cover what Tryhard fan said. He said we're actually addressing Boba Fett. Boba Fett Gaming, Horizon Forbidden West is a PS4 game at the end of the day, so the SSD usage would be limited. Well, that just says it all, really. I agree with you 100%. The game is ultimately held back by the PlayStation 4. That's why it doesn't run well on the PS5. It's held back by the PS4.
So this generation is held back by the PS4?
Well, yeah. Well,
I disagree.
PlayStation games are.
Because they will have built a version for the PS5. I think there's something happening where it's not actually doing something correctly. There's some sort of bottleneck on the PS5 version. Understandably, the PS4 version, those consoles are old. They are held back with their mechanical hard drives and so on and so forth. So there are massive limitations on what you can get out of that game. But the PS5, for talking about the magical SSD and it not holding back gaming and stuff, you would expect a game like this to not have those issues on day one, especially if you've got a day one patch. Because when I was watching the videos, they were talking about this is the day one patch that we're playing on. So hopefully they'll have something coming up soon, or they might have a bigger patch later for everyone else on day one. Who knows? But it just. So I don't agree about the PS5 version there, Boba Fett. But I also did try to say it? Oh, sorry, try hard.
Yeah,
I don't know who
was
said
just,
it.
I'm
so confused.
Talking to be above it, yeah.
Yeah, the PS4 is bottlenecked, but it shouldn't really be impacting the PS5 version of the game so much. Like, if it's properly optimized, and hi Cypher Boss, it's nice to see you in the chat. But I just think it's a little bit stupid. Like, there's like an option in the game to like toggle on and off tips, right? If you want
probably
tips.
I don't know.
And so just if it loads that fast, let it load that fast. But they've probably had to slow the loading of the game because the assets can't stream in fast enough to match what's happening, and that's what I reckon it is.
That's the truth.
No, this time last week we were already through about 8 topics.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
It was done. Red, cheers.
Hey,
we done 3 topics. When you just spoke about that, we'd already done 3 topics in that one sentence.
Hey, we've kind of done 2 and a bit, right? Because we've done a few.
We do topics like men do stuff. He's like, "What do you think about this?" Yeah, me too. Yeah, go next topic.
Got to play devil's advocate, right?
Shit.
Women like to talk. Women like to gossip. What am I saying? Right? What's happening? All right, I'm leaving the podcast, guys, so you can get through the rest of the topics by yourself.
All right, how about we move on to the next one then? Yeah.
Yes, we've done Horizon Forbidden West to death.
Yeah, we bought
to death. Yes. So Cyberpunk update on and PS issues.
I don't know what the PS issues are, so you might have to specify that.
I don't know what's up. What are you talking about? So
the Cyberpunk has just released their next gen optimized patch.
Oh right, okay. I thought you said PC. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the issues on the PS, is this something to do with... Who wrote this topic? Is this something to do with...
You did?
Did I? Oh, shit. What was the PS issues? Try hard.
And this was meant to say PC and PC issues.
No. What was the issues now? Oh, God,
Drunk too much, you can't even remember.
Yeah, this doesn't help that I've been at the pub all day long. The PS... Oh, this is the update.
Let's just talk.
This is the update. I think this is the update. The update, you can't update it. Right, okay, yeah. Right, it's all come back to me now. On the Xbox, it's clearly smart delivery. We have smart delivery. So you get the free update. The game just updates for you. But on the PlayStation, it's not giving you the update automatically. And you have to go into the store. But people can't find it in the store. You have to literally look for it, search for it to find the free update. Which I'm not even sure if it's free. I think that's... What, is anyone... You guys heard of this?
Yes, I've heard of it, but I didn't really look into it. So my experience from updating it on the Series X was I just had to put the disc in and then it asked to update, and it was about a 63 gig.
Yeah, because we've got smart delivery.
Update.
But the PlayStation doesn't have that, so it doesn't allow you to do that. So what it's telling you to do is go to here, do this, do that, do that. It's basically just throwing you around the place, and people are struggling to even find the update. So they're basically not just getting the update for the PlayStation version. I think this happened recently with another game, didn't it, on the PlayStation, which is... What was that? There was another game where there was an update and they just couldn't find it, and it was just like just throwing them over the place because they didn't want to give them the free update. Can't feel what it was.
You're thinking Horizon, right?
Yeah.
People, I guess people talked about smart delivery as this massive marketing ploy, and initially it was, but from what Microsoft had told us right at the beginning of the generation, we understood it and said, okay, that makes our lives easy. Anything to make a gamer's life easier and to take away barriers to your gaming is really important. So I don't know how many times we can talk about this with every single game that releases on PlayStation 5. The fact that it's difficult to get your saves to transfer over. It's difficult to find the PS5 version because it tries to load up the PS4 version. How many times can we have the same conversation every single time a new game launches before their community calls them out on it and actually does something and just trolls them to death until they fix it, or until they come out and say, yes, we're aware of the problem, we're working on it? Because I think it's getting ridiculous at this point that one company is doing so well on that front, and one company is just feels like they're half-assing this generation.
Yeah, well, the clear issue with that is their fan base. Our fan base will call out problems, but their fan base will just...
The company, they just don't care enough.
No, they don't care enough, and because their fan base won't complain enough to them either. What Tryhard said, it's literally an easy process. Update any game on PS5, you just click on the home screen, then click on check for update. Well, firstly, I think the Xbox, they don't do that. I think it does it for free.
I don't have to do it, yeah. It's not an easy process.
But as you say, it's an easy process, you do this and this. But I don't think that's the problem with Cyberpunk. I don't think it is that easy. I think you have to actually look through their store. That's the problem. You have to go through their store to find the update for it. And then people are even struggling to find that.
Which is weird, isn't it? Because
it's almost if they don't want you to get the update, or they want Because remember, if we rewind, do you remember PlayStation had a problem with Cyberpunk in a way that when it first released, and they banned it from their store, didn't they?
That was everyone had a problem with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, they did, but PlayStation come out saying
PlayStation took it off their store.
Yeah, they took it off their store.
They took it off their store,
and I think
because
now this is coming back at them. The bottom of the butt.
They're under the idea around quality control, and I think I was talking on the Xbox Infinite podcast yesterday. So thank you, shout out to them for having me on. It was really appreciative.
How was you?
But yeah, I'm a trader, guys.
She's cheating on you.
Yeah, I'm cheating on you. Yep.
What made you find that live on TV?
Yep. And we just talked about quality control, which is what we're going to talk about when we get to CrossfireX. But I think we're just running into a consistent trend of games not being ready for launch and being released anyway. To be honest, that's the big problem right now. We are running into, they just want to make money. They're just happy to let it release as is. Yeah.
What she said.
Yep.
You weren't even listening. You were too busy giggling at the
100%.
fact that I. Whatever you said,
can't
you
really
agree.
cheat. Shit. Can't really cheat on me. Shit.
At least you know now. You can work through
Yeah,
it.
what
together.
way to find out? I'm like embarrassed now. I'm
Not
really
only I
embarrassed
didn't
I've
tell you
gone red.
behind closed door, I told you in front of everyone. So
I feel like I'm on that
dirty
program
laundry
Catfish
out.
now. Was it Catfish? Yeah, well, you know when you get found out on live TV. I feel like I'm that now. Well, I'm that guy, and I'm that guy that turns up and like I've been chatting to a girl all day long, and find out like her name's Alan.
Hi, I'm Alfred.
And she's in her 50s. Yeah, I'm like, oh man. I feel
And
like
she
that
has
now.
a beard.
Yeah,
She has bollocks.
yeah. Well, mine she had a beard, but her name's Alan. That's just a full name.
The beard's okay, but Ellen, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, well, I just feel like that now. I'm like that, and I'm like, shit.
Oh. This is a bit where Elite like stops the stream and just leaves.
Yeah, just got.
It's like that scene from The Simpsons when Ralph Wiggum's gets his heart broken.
Yeah, yeah. You can hear it break at this point. Or it could be one of those guys on Catfish that go, "Oh, okay, I'm okay with it. I'll just carry on my life." And you think, "Oh, you fucking idiot."
All right, let's get back to the topic at hand. Has anyone played the
We have
Cyberpunk
topics?
update yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the Cyberpunk update? Did you play both versions, the RT mode
Yes.
and the 60 FPS?
Oh, I only ever play 60. I don't bother with the ray tracing. I don't care for that 60
FPS.
Yeah, you're supposed to play RT mode.
Nah, not for me. If I can avoid 30, I will. So having ray tracing is a visual eye candy. That's great, but it slows down the feel and movement. So I like 60. I've played it. So I played it, some of it before the patch, and then I played some of it after. It's improved, yes. Much, in my opinion, not really. I can still drive around the city, which is supposed to be the biggest metropolis, and there's like one NPC walking down the street still.
Damn.
So, and there's like 2 or 3 cars, maybe 4 cars.
That is because you're not playing in the full fidelity mode that Pony would like to play in, because they can only play in 30 FPS. Because the crowds are denser, and so is the traffic in the 30 FPS mode with ray tracing.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? I'm going to check that out.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm going to check that out. But
I've converted him to 30 FPS, guys. I'm kidding.
no, I'm going to check it out just to see if you're bullshitting me or not.
I can't even play that game in 30. Like, when it was backwards compatible, I still couldn't play it in 30. It was unplayable. I loved the game. Like, I say I love the game. I loved the enjoyment I had when I was actually playing the game. All the other stuff around it, like, was just like turning a film grain and like all the glitches and all of that stuff was just. I did not want to finish playing the game because I wanted to wait for the patches to come out for next gen, so I didn't have to experience what I was currently experiencing on the Series X when I played it in backwards compatible mode for the game. However, I feel sorry for the people who played it on last gen, because my experience was a hell of a lot better than theirs, just by the brute forcing of the console, making it Gen 9 aware. Elite, have you played the new patch?
No.
No, he's a fraud. He plays Conan and that's it.
30 FPS mode anyway, because you're on the Series S.
No,
You're not a true gamer because you haven't got the Series X, mate.
Shut up. No, because I've got my daughter, didn't she? Like when it first came out, it bought me a disc version of the game, and it's the only disc game I own, and I've got an Xbox Series
I have to
Slim,
play it on your One
which
X.
has no disc. So it's like she bought me a present, like because she hates me. She bought me a disc for a disc version game for it, and I don't have a disc drive. I was like, thanks, got gritted. My teeth go, oh, thanks.
I know what I'm sending you on
can't
April
play it.
Fool's Day this year.
Yeah.
I guess a disc game.
So I've got a disc version of the game, and I've got an Xbox Series Slim, so I can't play it. So, and I sort of feel reluctant to buy a digital version now. Now I own the game, I feel reluctant to buy a digital version now. So I'm gonna wait till I get an Xbox Series X to be able to enjoy the game.
Do you
That's
think
my story.
do you think that this update is enough to get people back on and playing it? Like, do you feel like that is going to change the
I think possibly.
hearts and minds?
I don't know about that.
I agree.
I think the
Tryhard
damage
and
possibly
Boba.
already done. It's like No Man's Sky in games like that. I think the damage could be done already.
I agree, Tryhard and Boba about Witcher 3 needs the current next gen upgrade. But to Darth Starkiller's thing, playing the game in 30 FPS is unplayable. I only played it in 60. The judder in playing in 30 was super disorientating. I enjoyed the gameplay and the story, but then you just ran into bugs, and aesthetically it was not where I thought it would be, especially with the new next gen patch.
Yeah, when I walk around the city,
Gamepass. That's what they should have done.
Yep, Ashtray, what were you going to say?
They probably will at some point in time. When I walk around the city, there's more than 5 cut and paste NPCs now, so that's good. However, I can actually walk through them still.
Oh, that's not good.
I can walk through NPCs.
That's not really real life.
Like
even the Matrix, you can't walk through the NPCs in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So
I've tried, but you can't walk through people in real life either. I've tried. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had a
it's
few
still
beers and I still
not.
can't walk through people.
Shit. So look, I still need to load it back up and play around a little bit more with it, but it hasn't really done much, compared to the other version. In my opinion, no. It's improved a little bit, but I mean the car handling, they said they improved the car handling and the ride feel. Okay, now when I'm sitting in the car, I actually get a vibration through the controller when I, go over a curve or something, a bump in the road. That's great. So it feels better now. But the actual steering and that is still shithouse, in my opinion. It's still rubbish. It's still a bit of a lag to it, and it definitely oversteers a lot. So I don't really know how much they really tweaked those mechanics, to be honest with you.
I wish that the next gen patch offered a third person mode, because you put all that effort into creating your character.
Yeah, don't you look? Yeah, you get a lot of games like that. Yeah,
and you just can't see shit.
Yeah,
that's why.
Here's an interesting question.
Something.
Here's an interesting question. We were talking about Metacritic earlier. How would you rate the game out of 10 or out of 100?
Cyberpunk?
Yes.
60.
76.
76 and a 60.
Yep.
Yeah. So if this is how my scoring originally was done on I was going to do reviews and stuff. You have 10 different subjects and you score each one out of 20. So let's say, I don't know, longevity, what would you score it out of 20?
When you say longevity, do you mean replayability?
Yeah, replayability, yeah.
Or length of game. Not replayability.
Yeah, replayability, longevity, yeah.
Once I finally get through the campaign, I probably won't ever load it up again.
Nah. So what would you score it out of 20?
Out of 20, that's hard. Longevity, maybe a 9.
Oh yeah, okay. That's not very high, is it? Yeah.
Well, there's no multiplayer coming for it anymore, so I think that also needs to be taken into consideration. What about you, Ashtray?
Out of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a 9 as well, actually.
Yeah. See, I think if you break things down like this is where you get an accurate score. So then, what would you break down then the story and lore to the game? What score would you give that out of 20?
I'd say maybe probably a 13.
All right, yeah. Okay.
I know that sounds not high, but
no.
I mean, I haven't finished the story yet because I stopped to play because. So
that's
above
average, Joe. So 10's average.
Yeah,
20.
Really, there's some really beautiful points in the game around story.
Yeah.
But then there's just the fact that you have no idea what the fuck's going on as well. To be honest, yeah. So at the moment, where I'm at, 13.
Yeah, damn, that's pretty close to what I'd say as well. Because my biggest issue, and people are gonna probably disagree with this, but there's far too much narration and talking and cutscenes and stuff for my liking. when I play a game, I want to play a game. I don't want to be sitting through all the bloody.
At least in the saving grace for this
so
is at least with most of some of those cutscenes that they have, they're kind of like cutscenes where you can like walk away.
Yeah.
Some of them. Other cutscenes you can't, but some of them you can actually walk away and it still continues on, and you're just like, I don't have to stick around for this rubbish. What was your next one there, Elite?
And chat, please follow me with this. Write down in the chat what you score each subject I choose. So far, the first one out of 20 was longevity, wasn't it, in playability? The next one then was story and lore. The next one's gameplay and mechanics. What would you score out of 20?
16.
10.
I enjoyed it. At the
10
time.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd pick 10 because it's clunky. It's worse, in my opinion, gameplay feeling wise than GTA 5. And we all know that the mechanics for GTA 5 are dated and need updating as well, and are clunky. But GTA 5 is better.
Thinking about my enjoyment of Halo Infinite and what I've played in the multiplayer, I'm going to change my score because I'm actually now thinking about that. Because just thinking about the game as a whole, around my enjoyability and what I played, I would probably go with maybe a 13 as well again.
And then finally you've so that was the fourth one, isn't it? And then finally, was that the third? Then we've got then graphics. What would you put down for sort of graphics and visuals?
Probably about 13.
I was going to say 12.
Mm.
Damn, my score's sitting at 47 at the moment. What's the
the graphics have improved in the latest patch, but
it's not enough to rave about.
Yeah, not when you again. I know, but Valhalla.
And then the first one, I'd say value for money. What would you put down in the value for money?
Well, I bought it on sale for like $25.
Yeah,
I was not going to pay 110 for it, or 100 when it first came out. There was no chance of that.
See, I technically bought it day one, right? However, I game share, so I only paid half the price, and my sister paid the other half the price. So we only paid, like, I think it was on special, maybe $45 each.
Yeah.
And that's 45 New Zealand dollars. It was on special day one, guys. What do you know? You just got to be savvy about where you buy the games. Value for money. This is hard because my enjoyability of what I did enjoy about the game, I think I would say a 14.
Yeah. So then what were your scores? Did you tally up your scores? What you got there?
61.
That
was no lower than I 76. But I think it's because breaking it down like that, you can be a little bit harsher and a bit more honest.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's how things should be.
Yeah,
that is the idea, because rating something out of 10, it doesn't. So rating something out of 10, you're just going to guess basically. You're going 7 or 6 but this actually when you break it down into sort of, you give things actual value. You're going to be more honest to yourself, and I think that's how all scoring should be. And I think when you go forward, and then things will have a better average and things, and the scoring of the system, things should come out better. So when you get scores like Horizon Forbidden West, where that's broken down, people can go, oh, it's biased. But then you can at least say, oh no, it got a good story, it got high score, it got gameplay was scored high, this scored high, the graphics scored high, but then value for money scored low because it cost 70 quid, yada yada yada. Or it scored low here, and that's why it got such a low score. At least you can then break it down and give a reason for it, and then they can just go, oh, right, fair enough. Rather than going, ow, biased media. And I think that is the future. That's how reviewing should be. It should be broken down into 5 subjects out of 20 points each, and it gives you an unbiased. Even if you try to be biased, if you was even biased, it'd be obvious if you start giving 20s on each thing. Then you'd know someone's been biased, because because it'd be weird. Yeah, that's a 20. It'd be weird. But this way, you sort of can't be biased so much. If you know what I mean. And I think that's how a review should be done. That's just me.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that.
That was a good little exercise.
That was a good little exercise. Because my idea of the game, apparently, I'm actually harsher on the game than I realised. I I was being very generous when I said 76. I think you were pretty accurate though, Ashtray, on your score.
Yeah, you said 60.
I didn't tally mine up, but
And then what'd you score? Yeah. Then you probably
I
scored.
didn't tally it all up.
I think you probably scored about 60, yeah.
I think you scored very similarly to mine. You might have actually even been, I think you might have been about 60, maybe 59.
Yeah.
I think we were very, very close, yeah.
And it'd be
So there you go.
It'd be interesting to say that to the people playing Horizon Forbidden West, do exactly the same. Was this game worth £70? You bought it in a PlayStation 5. What's this game worth £75? You know, value for money. What'd you score it out of 20? Would they actually say 20 out of 20? Or would they go...
Well, there you go.
Exactly. Would they
there you
score
go,
it
Elite. There's a business opportunity. We'll start a website, our own aggregate critic website. Now, the key, though, is that you have to sign in with your gamer tag on it on your
exactly.
console.
Link it to your profile
to prove that you've played the game for a minimum of 2 hours.
And it clocks you. It's easy to check people. Yeah, you only checked and you see if you've played a minimum of a certain amount of hours. That's it.
Yep. And then if you have, then you can, cast your vote, score it. Yep. Done.
Simple. Mate, why don't we run our own review site? Review channel.
Just got to figure out how to build one.
Yeah. But that's a great idea. Like, definitely do that. But you're still going to get the a-holes that will just try and review bomb crap.
No, but they have to have bought the game.
Yeah.
So if they want to waste 60 American dollars or 110 Australian, if they want to waste that money just to review bomb it, then that's up to
4
them.
hours playing it just so you can review it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, let's
That's
go.
fine.
We got it sussed.
And bought the console. They have to own the console. They have to bought the console, bought the game.
No, as long as they play it,
and
it's connected to their gamer tag, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as they've actually played it. Yep. Fair enough. Astro, do you want to start us off on our next topic about CrossfireX?
CrossfireX. CrossfireX debacle on Game Pass. Wow. Oh, yeah. Where do I start?
Have you guys played it?
So,
nope.
Well, I tried to play the campaign. Couldn't find it anywhere at all. I actually couldn't find the multiplayer download for ages. I had to actually go into the store, and then it said free with Game Pass, and I downloaded it from there. And it took days. It took days until it appeared on Game Pass, and then when it did, I still couldn't download the campaign part. I don't know if it's fixed now or not. I kind of gave up. So that was really frustrating. There was no real sort of advertising about it. They sort of just released it and forgot about it, kind of thing. But why they had trouble with it in Game Pass, I don't know, because normally what they'll do is they'll drop a game in Game Pass up to a week before it actually goes live, so you can pre-download it, and they didn't do it, and they fumbled the ball with this one. So I don't know why that was the case. Were they still trying to figure out bugs and stuff, or did someone forget to flick the switch? I don't know. But yeah, very frustrating. I wanted to play the campaign because I was sort of more interested in seeing how that played. I played a little bit of the multiplayer. Didn't like it. It's definitely built for mouse and keyboard, and they haven't been able to translate that over to controller very well. The biggest problem is there's no respawn, or at least the mode that I played, there's no respawn. So once you die, you've got to wait until the game finishes, and that sucks. That's not fun. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the mode I was in or what, but I just picked...
I think it is the mode. Yeah, I played a mode where you could... I think, it's not very clear. I tried it. I've not bothered with the campaign at all. I downloaded it, and it did remind me of a very dated, like 90s multiplayer shooter.
Yeah, it's like a poor man's COD.
Yeah, it is. It plays very much like COD. It's almost COD, but a poor man's COD. Yeah, you said it's a poor man's COD. And
it's got such a big following overseas, though. Like over
it's China. China's massive. That's why it's got one of the highest player bases in the world. Actually, it's one of the highest played games ever with a billion players. But China, Asia's a big place, and it takes a lot of people, so that's probably why they're all playing that.
I feel like the way they wanted to hit the Western markets was to go with, like, partner with someone who they get instant access, easy access to gamers through Game Pass. So, this is 100%. I feel like this is true, and we were talking about yesterday on the podcast I was on. Sorry, I like to remind you and just rub salt in the wound. But they were saying we were talking about how it feels like CrossfireX needed Game Pass more than Game Pass needed CrossfireX, and I also feel that this game should have released into preview, because then you would have the expectation around the game would have been completely different. I think people's mentality would have been, oh, it's in preview, so we expect bugginess, we expect all these problems with the game because they're going to be updating it to fix it later on, because Grounded released into preview, that Arcanus one released into preview, even like Sea of Thieves initially released into preview, and then had their proper launch.
Ark
like
was preview, Conan was preview, a lot of games
like all these games going into preview,
Subnautica,
because you build a community and then you speak to your community, and your community tells you what they want in the game. Like Grounded is a huge example of that. Sea of Thieves is a huge example of that. If you're willing to listen and update the game and fix the problems, then your community is going to stick with you. But this is the worst thing. There needs to be quality control around this, because this just leaves a bad taste in my mouth around my perception of Game Pass. When you look at a game like that, like why are they putting a game like that into Game Pass as a service?
This could be why
when
it's broken as hell. Couldn't it?
You should have put an expectation, because it should have been in preview. I mean, the marketing for it, there was no marketing. You couldn't even find the game properly when it released. Like there's a reason why that game scored so low, and it wasn't. Game Pass couldn't help it. If they go in and say, hey, sorry, it's in preview now, we're fixing it, then that should resolve some issues. But at the moment, I just think it's stupid.
Yeah, what's weird?
They just need to work on the controller.
Yeah, what's weird is
Remedy.
Yeah, guys, I was just going to say what's weird is Remedy are associated with it, and they're quite.
That's the campaign,
yeah, they're quite a big developer, so it's quite weird that they're sort of associated with this game, because it is quite poor. And I can imagine the developers and the publishers must have thought this game is massive. It must be in a case of more like you need us than we need you kind of thing. That's all I can imagine.
Well, that's why I want to play the campaign.
Yeah,
that's exactly why I want to play the campaign, because they built that.
Yeah,
not the multiplayer. So I want to see if the controls translate better, or if they're exactly the same.
Yeah, but the game was. I played it and I deleted it after about half hour. I played a few matches. I was playing the if you just played the regular like Slayer matches, you do kill and you respawn pretty quickly. And then there was other matches where I think it's more like search and destroy, but you must have been just. It's not clear what your matches you're in, and I think that's probably why. I was just playing matches, then suddenly one point I died and I didn't respawn, and I just guessed I was in some kind of other game mode. So it's but the gameplay is so slow, so jagged. It's very much like playing an early 90s sort of shooter, and it's very dated. But they must have thought they were sort of jumping on that sort of monopoly, that franchise, because it's massive in Asia. And they thought, put it in a hope to pull them into Game Pass, and that's why they originally was going to put it in Game Pass. And then they probably tried it and thought, fucking hell, this is a piece of shit. Remove it from Game Pass, and then it was thought people going, why is it not in Game Pass? Because you promised in Game Pass, and they thought, shit, put it back in Game Pass. And then this is one of those cases where they had to just take it on the chin, really. But that is one of those games where you get the PlayStation fanboys now going, "Oh, Game Pass filler." This is one of those examples where they've actually got it right. It is a Game Pass filler game. It shouldn't be in Game Pass, and you're right. It should have went to preview first, and they've made a massive mistake there, not putting to the preview first.
I think so, yeah. Because for the casual market, what they see that coming back and they're like, "Oh, Game Pass." Maybe not if they're putting games like that, and what other games are going to come in. Fine. So I think it's really important that you stay on the up and up and you keep a consistent level, because I don't think you need to worry about indie games in there and those sort of things, as long as they're at a level of quality where they are playable and generally people can enjoy them. Anything else to add there, Ashtray?
No.
Well, talking about this, and segue into our next topic, is we'll just wait for them to announce that Halo is the reason why CrossfireX is awful. Everyone just needs to blame Halo for every problem now that comes out with their games.
I've got a rash. It's Halo's fault.
It's Halo's fault. But EA blamed Halo for partially being at fault for the reason why Battlefield 2042 didn't do so well. Who wants to kind of lead that?
I'd love to hear Elite's thoughts on this.
Yep.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's like, so we're just talking? I'm just going to be quiet.
No. Why Halo? Well, we have to break down really why Battlefield failed. It cost £70. It released without a campaign, so you're paying £70 just for the multiplayer mode. Then the multiplayer mode released buggy. It was missing loads of content, and it just didn't run very well at all. And from that, they've gathered that it's Halo's fault. It's not that they've not blamed Call of Duty, which pretty much released at the same time, but they've just thrown all their hate at Halo. I've got nothing really. I don't know where to go with this, because it is so absurd and so weird to then blame Halo. It's really sort of, if anything, it's really cutting ties with Xbox or Microsoft, that to say, just throw it out there. And then recently it did rewind it and say, oh no, it wasn't actually blaming Halo. They've tried to backtrack on the whole thing, haven't they? But it is a really weird sort of stance to take. I don't know what more I can say on it other than it's really weird and absurd and stupid, and it's made them look like they've not looked at any of the other issues possibly. They've any of the actual true issues. They've not looked at the game themselves. They've not looked at their own problems. They've not looked at the game problems. They've looked they've looked outside. It's almost like they're a child in school and just pointed somewhere else, going, yeah, "He did it first," kind of thing. It's his fault, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really childish and weird. Go on, Trey, you'll go.
Well, look, I actually made a video on this and covered the article that brought this out, but they blamed everyone but themselves. So they also blamed the pandemic, which you can kind of allow that, but then if you know that there's internal issues due to the pandemic, that's caused right there to delay it, right? Mm-hmm. They knew that they released it with bugs. They even said that in the article, but they went ahead and did it anyway. So with all these different all these different reasons on why it failed, but they never once said that it was their fault. They never actually said, oh, we should have delayed it 6 months to a year. They never said, they blamed the damn engine that they've been using. Yeah, right. So they blamed that as well. Yeah. Then they had to apparently overhaul it, and that took 18 months to get it to work to what they wanted to. So they knew that they had internal issues, but they ignored it. Well, so and Elite, exactly what you said. It's like they blame everyone else but themselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's pathetic. But to bring Halo up at all, even though they claim it was, the article was written out of context or whatever, that for Halo even to be mentioned is ridiculous. It basically says that Halo launched unexpectedly and it was polished.
Your game's better than ours. It's not fair, basically.
Well, it's that idea of people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
They're saying it's not our fault the game Halo is polished.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's not your fault. But the fact that yours is trash, all the screen glitches, artifacting. I freaked out when because I jumped in the beta to play it myself, and I was freaking out thinking, oh shit, is my Xbox shit itself?
Yeah.
Because it was artifacting. And we usually know that that's it's a GPU issue essentially because of the way it's loading in graphics and stuff, but it's not actually an issue with the hardware. And it was just It was just a mess, absolute mess.
Yeah.
And they're short-sighted because they're only looking at, oh, we need to drop this game now. It's got to be done in this quarter because of, profit and loss and all sorts of other, financial things. But however, people are going to be more, refrained to buy the next one now, knowing that oh shit, I bought that and that's rubbish. I've just wasted my money.
They've sullied it.
People are going to be apprehensive and say, you know what, I won't get the next Battlefield because I got sort of tricked with that last one.
I don't know. COD's been making that mistake for years, and they still buy it. People still buy it.
They're doing a disservice to themselves.
That bad though? Have COD games been that buggy? I don't think so.
This COD game was probably buggier than some of the other ones, but in comparison to Battlefield 2042 was way more buggy. Like, they said that it was this game had a historic level of bugs, and then they still went ahead and released it.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? They already know that there's a historic level of bugs, and they still were wanting to charge you full price for a game. In order to fix this, they're probably going to have to release the next one free to play.
Yeah. Well, we have to remember to emphasise that it costs £70. Halo costs 60. Yep. Well, actually, Halo is free to play, but you could get the campaign and everything. It was 60 quid. So it's free to play, and then the campaign was 60. Whereas Battlefield was 70 with just the multiplayer. And it was a buggy mess. So I don't know where you come from. Where it's Halo's fault. It's sort of, you charge £70 for a multiplayer only game, and it's a mess. I remember Titanfall first come out for Xbox One, and that was multiplayer only. And remember people up in their arms saying, "Oh, games shouldn't be released multiplayer only. All games should release with campaigns." You remember that big stance? And that was 60 quid.
Yep.
And then, so they released Titanfall 2, didn't they? Thought, okay.
Best campaign ever.
Yeah, we'll have a campaign, which was the best campaign ever. But I think the multiplayer wasn't very as good. And then I don't think the game didn't do as well as the first one, multiplayer-wise. I don't think the multiplayer was
loved
good.
that.
The campaign was one of the best campaigns I played, but the multiplayer was nowhere near as good as the Titanfall ones. But I just remember the hate Titanfall 1 got for just releasing a game that was multiplayer only. And it was like, oh, who releases a multiplayer only game? And now, games, it's all we're getting now. We're getting games that are just multiplayer only. And it's sort of, they set the precedent, and it's like, I think it's really a £70 game full of bugs with just multiplayer only.
Their excuse, right? Their excuse is saying, like, because Halo multiplayer released a month early, right? Before the actual campaign launched. Mm-hmm. And so released right on top of the Battlefield launch window. But they said, in general, it would have, if normal competition had been what it usually is, it would have been fine. That's not the point. Historic bugs, guys. Historic bugs. Halo was a hell of a lot more polished than their game was at launch because it had that extra year to be polished. Obviously, there's still some parts in Halo that aren't available to play, like Forge mode, and the co-op campaign and so on and so forth. But comparatively speaking, Battlefield didn't matter if it looked worse in comparison. You released a half-assed game. You knew it wasn't ready, and you still released it anyway and lied to the consumers. The fact that they're talking about the beta and saying, like, initial responses were really positive, this feels like Battlefield. Yes, the gameplay felt like Battlefield, but gamers expect you to fix all the other problems that they're telling you about during the beta, and they just didn't do that. You were told to, you were blue in the face that this was an issue, and you chose to just launch the game anyway. I bet you if they'd just waited a little bit, maybe 6 months delay, you wouldn't be having this issue at all.
Yep. Agreed. 100%. So when are these guys going to learn, though? When are they going to learn that consumers will, call them out on it?
Punch in the face.
When
Microsoft buys them. Buy them, Microsoft.
How many signatures does that
100,000
petition?
Yeah, it's over 100,000. I think it's 110,000 now. Yeah,
100,000 gamers
which
telling
means
you that
they can take law action now. Yeah, they can take action by law.
The sad thing is, though, is for Battlefield, for EA, take the L and give people the option to refund if they want to refund it. If they don't want to, put it on put it on Gamepass if you need to, but give them the option. Like Xbox went back and they allowed you to, like when they had the Red Ring of Death, they took $1 billion L and said, return your console and we will replace it.
I think it was 1.7 billion.
Yeah, that's insane.
Something like that.
Companies don't usually do that, but they did it because they knew they had to, or else they were going to be dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did that with, what was the other thing that they did around that? Oh, I can't think. But they did something else. And they, not refund, but they admitted they did missteps in the Xbox One generation. They admitted that. And because they admitted it and they were very transparent and then actively worked with the community about what do you guys want, this is what we're working on because we've heard you guys consistently say that we're no longer focusing on games. They took steps and were very transparent about where they were heading. And as a community, they brought back that trust in them. And EA is losing trust from gamers, and they really need to do something to fix it. Just admit you made a mistake, give people a refund if they want it, and then when the game is ready, actually launch it.
Well, are they doing this on purpose to tank their price so it's a bit cheaper for Xbox to buy them?
Yeah. I was just going to say the Red Ring of Death reminds me of a curry idea of the week.
Yeah.
No, it didn't need a mental image of that. Really. No.
Oh boy,
yeah.
She like that.
But that goes back to that conversation I said about quality control.
Yeah.
I
would love to be a quality control player for these guys. They must be laughing. They're getting paid. They must be like, fuck, game shit. Yeah, Dave, is it good? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, just release it. Yeah, whatever. Where's release it, like.
Fine.
Am I getting paid? Yeah.
Epileptic seizure on screen, but the game's great to play.
Yeah, it's great. Am I still getting paid? Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, just fucking release it. Whatever. Like, he's sitting there smoking a spliff and he's just like, yeah, release it. It's fine, whatever. Just give me my money.
It's really sad because I bet you devs who have made that game and put time and effort into negatively impact around that, and they know how gamers are, and they'll know what they'll be saying.
And they give the game, the quality control must be King Crash or something like that.
Hey, King Rash.
Play it for an hour.
Yeah, King Rash. I'll play it for an hour, man. I'll play it for an hour. Play it for an hour. Yes, it's not good. I looked at the floor, I looked at the sky, I looked at the ceiling, man. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about that? I just think, EA has come out and denied it, and they said that this was taken out of context. Who was it? John Roseberg for EA Communications VP said that the story's not accurately capturing the discussion, which was an in-depth and very humble internal conversation about the recent Battlefield launch. It was about key learnings and actions we are taking, not blaming external factors. Why was it that nothing that was put in that article talked about key learnings and actions that you guys were making to fix the issue? Because I bet you that article would have been taken in a very different context if that was the case.
I like how it ends there saying not blaming external factors. However, everything listed in the article were external factors. So that guy should probably
marketing
lose his job or something. But look, that's just ridiculous. That's just a statement just to try and it's just rubbish. Rubbish, trash.
You guys have a last subject now.
That's all that is.
Last topic. Our last
PS5 PRO Rumour. Oh, you go on your story, Red. You read it. You love reading these things.
You're drunk, so they probably understand me better anyway. I'll just start using the word chili bin in the conversation.
Chili bin.
Aduna. Start doing everything for you guys. But yeah, the PS5 rumor is back with a vengeance, guys. It just doesn't seem to die. What are your guys' thoughts about this coming back? I have always got lots to say, and you guys talk through topics like they're nothing. So, shoot.
We just want to get a word. We just want to get a word in before you talk.
Exactly.
Look,
you spoke too much, Australia. They need
a PS4 Pro, in my opinion. But will it happen? I don't know. Look,
Pro.
PS5 Pro?
Hmm?
You said PS4 Pro.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, because the current one's like a PS4 anyway.
It's a PS4
It's
Pro,
got a
yeah.
fast SSD.
PS4 PS4 Pro 0.5.
It's PS4
0.5.
Pro tips version. It's boosted by
Frosted
tips.
SS-
Tip mode.
SSD edition. That's what it is. It's PS4
SSD
Pro
tip
SSD edition. Alright, guys, we're just being cheeky.
Yeah, always.
Cheerful.
Yeah, so it's will it have one? I don't know. I mean, we all know at the end of the day that hardware is a loss. And I don't really think Sony's in a position to want to take another loss. They have obviously just revamped the launch console, stripped some price out of it, the cost out of it, so they're making a bit of money from it. So, you know, I do know components do go down in price over time, but I mean, with the difficulty getting parts and things now, and they're reverting back to getting PS4s up and running. Are they really going to try and spend all that time and development and effort to make a 5 Pro? I can't see it, to be honest with you. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen this generation. It's going to be a long generation. The Series X will only improve with what it's got and what it's doing now. So, you know, it's not leveraging most of its capabilities. So Microsoft, you know, looked to the future and said, this console, we're not going to do a mid-gen refresh. I can't see them doing one, and not on the Series X anyway. I still can't see them doing it on the Series S either. But they could, you never know. Yeah, so doing a PS5 Pro, I can't see it happening personally. I've spoken too much.
Elite. Go. No, you were fine. I just took a micro nap.
It's implying that you were fine, but I'm not going to be fine. Right.
We'll see. We'll see.
We're judging you, silently.
Yeah, out of 100. You judge me on my gameplay, my mechanics. What's the topic again?
PS5 Pro.
Rumours.
Yeah, PS5 Pro Rumours. Right, so we've already had a PS5 Pro, haven't we? But they remodeled it, didn't they, about 6 months ago? Which they've done on the slide.
They just made it lighter, so it's the PS5 Light Edition.
Even though it's PS5 Light Edition, even though they sort of changed the heat sink and changed the fan and made quite a few internal changes on the slide. They didn't really announce it; they just did it on the slide, didn't they? But yes, they're going to do a PS5 Pro, which would be interesting what they actually do with the PS5 Pro. Will they change the fan again? I don't know what they could. I don't know what they could possibly do. But surely if they release it, say next year, that's a massive highlight to their technologies. Like, it's almost admitting that your viewer's wrong. That's what I kind of think sometimes. I usually think that if you're doing a mid-gen refresh, which I think is usually about 4 years into the gaming space, it's usually because things have got cheaper, yada yada yada, and now you can sort of improve on a console. So it depends how much they're going to improve, and are these parts cheaper, and that's why they're doing it, or they're actually going to make improvements on the original PS5 because those improvements should have been in there in the first place. I think that's the thing that sort of happens in my mind. And
good point.
To me, it'd be sort of more the latter. I think if they're gonna do it, if they're doing a PS4 Pro, I think in my head, I'm thinking that it's because
I like it. Cheeky.
I think it's because they're doing it because they're improvements that the PS5 should have had originally, which they've sort of learned from the Xbox Series X. I know you're getting all the fanboys saying, "Oh no, the PS5 is running better," yada yada yada. I think they know it's not running better, and I think that's part of why they're making a lot of their games cross-gen to hide the fact that they're not running better. I think their games, if they were exclusive to PS5, I don't think they would be anywhere near up to standard of the Xbox Series games. When we will find out when Starfield drops and what we've seen so far of Hellblade 2, I think if these games were solely PS5, I don't think they'd be any closer standard. And I think they know that and realising that. And I think that's why they want, if anything, to release a new version that is more comparable. Personally.
Yeah, well, why was there a mid-gen refresh last generation? Because the consoles, both the PS4, yeah, exactly, and the Xbox were both weak. Yeah. So they needed, and they knew that, so that they decided to do mid-gen refreshes, boost the power, and boost the generation. Now going back to the PS3 and the Xbox 360, the mid-gen refreshes that came from there were really just like slim models and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they were more powerful units. They were just, slim versions and stuff like that. So, you could look at that and go, maybe the PS5 could get a mid-gen refresh because it is underpowered. So, the argument could be for that. They definitely need a slim model. They definitely need to get a smaller model. So maybe they go, we need to make this monstrosity a lot smaller. We may as well upgrade it as well. So there is that argument to it as well.
Yep.
But it's going to be whether Sony want to spend the money on it.
It's just interesting, like, looking at that and just, I don't know. Elite and I have talked about this so much around the engineering in that console, and I feel like the reason why we got the slight changes was because they over-engineered around heat and trying to keep the console cool and quiet. And so they realized they didn't need to put as much in the heat sink as they did. So they were like, we can save a little bit there and so on and so forth. But like, just thermodynamics and the fact that hot air rises, clearly. Xbox engineering of their system was just the most simplistic idea, and just let thermodynamics do what it's meant to do with hot air rising up the top if you put the console vertical. I reckon that like PlayStation should have had a look at a different form factor and moved away from the standard form factor that was all the other consoles, because like their intake up the top, right? And then they push the heat out the back, where your intake should be somewhere else and pushing the heat up. That's just how it works.
Like the Xbox does.
Like the
It actually sucks the air up on the
because
Xbox.
Even the way when you hold the Series S, like when you put it, no matter where you put it, if you lie it down flat, the fan thing is up the top and it's pulling the air in and up out the top. Yeah. If you put it on the side, it's still a little bit better, but the top of the fan is up the top of the console unit. So the air is still being pushed up and the hot air is still being pushed out. And the similar thing, obviously not as good as the Series X around that because of the form factor design, but it's just definitely better engineered. So I feel like if they do a PS5 Pro, they really need to look at the form factor. It needs to change, because you don't need to put as much time into cooling it when you can have just nature take care of itself. You don't need to put so much time and effort into the type of fan you want to use, because if you've done the level of engineering to test all of that, you shouldn't have had to figure out the mistakes you made within the first 12 months. So those iterative. Oh my god, I can't say it today.
Iterative.
Those changes in the 360 and the PS3 generation were just minor changes. But that was after years of being out, not within the first 12 months. And the fact that it was in the first 12 months tells you that they didn't do enough testing, in my opinion, for the console, because I feel like it could have been better designed. And I feel like the console's just too large for this generation when you look at what the competition is doing. So, I mean, maybe they want a PS5 Pro, but I think at this point, just wait for the PS6. Who cares? I mean, if
there is going to be a PS6,
they're good enough at working on their engines, and the devs are good enough at optimizing for the consoles. So they've got a lot of learning to do, and I think they could get through quite easily on this generation and not need a Pro. But there's the community that's calling out for it as well, because they don't like the fact that the power narrative is gone 2 generations in a row, because there's just some people who just focus so much on a plastic box. All I'm doing is talking logically about the two, and you can do that.
Do you want to touch on what someone in the chat saying? Like, Try Hard saying PS5 is not underpowered, by the way. Oh, I agree, it's not underpowered.
I agree. I don't think it needs to be.
It's not underpowered, but I think in comparison to the Series X, I think the PS5 is now pushing its limits. I don't think it's going to get any better than what it is. I think it's really punching. Whereas the Xbox Series X, I don't think it is. I don't think it's even reached its maximum yet. So I think that's a difference too.
Starkiller's point saying like very few form factors on PC have fans on the top, so it would be wrong. But they have so many intake fan options. They also have a lot more space in there for airflow than consoles do because they don't. Most PCs aren't put into a tiny form factor like that. Laptops get really noisy when they get hot.
Yeah,
because they're trying to cool from a different angle. If they were cooling from the top, it would probably be a different story. But they can't based on the form factor design. So I understand what you're saying there, but I really don't agree with how we understand how heat rises in reality. It's why when you cook your food, they have an extractor fan up the top to pull that out. That's the same reality when you think about it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. PCs are built sort of, they're not sort of the same.
Yeah, so the PCs could definitely be designed better.
Because consoles are built to be compact, and you have to control that heat in a compact state. Yeah, whereas the PC gamers have never had an issue with the size of their PC. They've never thought, I'm going to make my PC as small as possible. There's not really a form. It's never a factor. Whereas laptops have to be a certain size, and the problem with a laptop is that you basically got your PC with your keyboard on top of it. And your heat can't rise up for the keyboard, so yeah. Yep.
And if it's if you can sometimes if it gets hot enough, your keyboard gets quite warm.
Yeah.
Like
it does, yeah. Laptops have heat quite often, yeah.
There you go. Well done.
So are we done now then?
I think so. That's it. That's really we've talked about the PS5 Pro forever, so in previous episode, so I don't think we need to go over that. Yeah.
Let's try hard.
Anyone else have any other questions in the chat?
Tryhard said both will have amazing looking games. Yes, but
I agree.
But what so far? Who has the best looking next gen games? Who would you say? Next gen, I'm talking. Not cross gen.
Are you talking about games to release or games that have released?
What next gen? Next gen games.
Current gen. Current gen.
Current gen. Sorry, current gen only. So. Who has the current gen only games that are looking to stand out so far?
Well, we know the answer to that.
Yeah. Because
it's not released yet, but Hellblade 2 will definitely be right up there for sure. Even God of War Ragnarok's going to be cross-gen. So
yeah, so that's what I mean.
Still going to have the same sort of...
held back by the Horizon Forbidden West. And I'll be surprised if it scores almost a similar score. I think they're going to do the same as they do with Horizon Forbidden West. I think they expected a 90 score for God of War. I would be surprised if it rates much lower than the previous game. I would not be surprised by that.
I reckon
they're going to have to prepare themselves for that. I think
God of War was a 94, so yeah, I reckon it's going to be about. I reckon it's going to end up being below that too.
I do.
Still might be in the 90s, but it'll be below that.
I reckon it'll be about 91. I reckon a lot of the scores from that were because the complete originality of it and how it just pulled apart from the first 3 games. And I think that's what changed the factor. But I think this game, it doesn't look like it's going to be much different from the last game. So I think it might suffer the same consequences as Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn have, where they're going to be too similar, and people are going to say it's practically the same game, but with just slightly different mechanics. And I don't think they'll be as generous. And I think they'll score it a 90. I'm going to give it. I think they'll score Horizon Forbidden West a 89. I think I got it. Sort of, it's got dropped down to 88 now. I think. What
do you think it would be?
I reckon God of War will be at 91. I reckon it might be about 91.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
It's hard to say, to be honest with you. Depends on how much, because my thought process on it is God of War Ragnarok's probably going to be almost identical to the first one, and you'll have your hardcore that'll give it 10 out of 10s, and then you'll have the others saying, well, it's just the same. And only give it, really low scores. So you could, I'm going to make a prediction that you could even see it drop out of the 90s. Not by much.
I believe that possibly, yeah.
Yeah, it might get something like an 88, 89.
I think the gameplay on that game is where it's at, where people will still love that. I think it's going to be about the story and what experience you get when you play it is going to be probably the deciding factor about where it actually falls on the review scale. It would be nice to see it at a 91. I think.
It's going to be hard to live up to.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to see a game fail, and that's the big thing. Regardless of the platform it's on, my mind is I don't want to see a game fail because developers put so much time and effort, and you want people to enjoy your game, and it sucks when you get bad review scores or people don't like it. So definitely understand, but it's something to learn from as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go,
agreed.
I just want to touch on what Darth and Tryhard are saying. They're saying Ratchet and Clank is one of the best looking games. I think the problem with Ratchet and Clank is that it's going to fall into the same category as games like Rise or The Order, whereas it does look good, but at the end of the generation, when you come to the end of the generation, no one's going to remember Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
And it does look good, but at the end of the day, it is a Pixar looking game, game. And I don't think those games are remembered or for being graphical masterpieces. I think everyone's going to go, wow, who remembers this game? It's fantastic. I don't think that will be that game. I think it's only been remembered now because there is nothing that is current gen to compete against it. But I think over the next couple of years, that game, Ratchet and Clank, will be forgotten quickly. As soon as actual next gen games will look better.
I just want to shout out to the chat who's watched us live today, and thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties. That is all Halo's fault as to why OBS and Discord didn't want to work for Elite. We've got to blame Halo for that, clearly. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to start jumping out of this. It's been we've kind of gone through
a long morning.
Topics. It's been a long morning. Yep. And if you join us, are we back at our normal time next week?
I guess so.
Yeah. I guess we're next Friday. Back to Fridays.
So next Friday, Saturday, same time as usual, like it was same today, but like it'll be the Friday, Saturday time for us instead. So it'll be our usual time. So please join us again next week. Can't wait to catch up with you guys. Chat is always amazing. But anything you want to add, Elite and Ashtray, before we head out of here?
Look, I've got some things I've got to do today, but I should be jumping on Xbox later on today, so if anyone's there, we can compete for gamer score.
That, or do you want to play some
funny.
Tall Tales on Sea of Thieves later, Ashtray? Maybe?
Actually, yeah, you know what? I need to catch up on that because you're ahead of me, so you can probably guide me through those other chapters as well. So I'm happy to jump in on that too. Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, let me know because I'm going to be playing Halo after this.
Yep.
And so when you're on, if you want to jump on and play Sea of Thieves, I'm happy to switch game. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, awesome.
Thank you, Tryhard, Darth Stalker, Boba Fett, Fuck You, Grey Monad, and Shizno Elite, and everyone else who kind of joined us live. I'm just scrolling through the chat to see everyone's name, and I'm missing them. Dauntless Dragon X. All of you guys, appreciate every week that you guys come in and join us. Share this out. Hit that like button. And just subscribe here if you want to keep and hit that notification button.
On board.
Yeah, but we're trying to get more guests on, and would like to get hopefully someone who's a bit more PlayStation centric because Ashtray just flip flops more than Crap Gamer at this point. Yeah.
Now I got my eyes on you guys.
But where can everyone find you, Ashtray?
Where?
Well, that's easy.
Tell us where you can find us.
At the local corner. No. Everything. I've got Twitter, YouTube, Xbox, PlayStation. Everything's all under Ashtray Gaming. So I've got my own channel there. I put out content on a weekly basis. I've just dropped 2 videos recently. That's more than Red Dead Panda's done in a long time. And if you go check out my content, I'm sort of learning as I go. So having fun with that.
Are you throwing shade at me because I said you flip-flop more than Crap Gamer?
Yeah. Yep. But
That's
we haven't seen
true.
a video from you for a while, so just saying.
That's because I get Crap Gamer to release all my videos.
That's what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's what I do.
I like it. Well done.
Clickbaity articles sorted.
Yep. So I've got what am I up to? I'm up to 68 subscribers now. So
There we go.
yeah, slowly
Takes a while, but
climbing
it
the
does
ladder.
take a while, yeah.
Got to reach that 100. So yeah, thanks for having me on again. As always.
Please, drop Astray a sub.
We
and stuff.
appreciate having you on.
Yeah,
we appreciate
we appreciate you. If nobody else does.
The good dynamic we got going on here.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
But the drunk elderly man who just celebrated his 80th.
You can't blame me. Really.
We've got the Hobbit from Middle Earth, myself, and then we've got Ashtray Gaming, who's a flip flopping pony from Australia.
We'll do an episode where one day is your evening, is your guys' evenings, and my morning. So I'm sort of nice and sober and happy go lucky, and then you guys are sort of off your faces. We'll do that.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
that sounds really good.
Yeah,
I just got to not swear.
That's the annoying thing about us. We can't do a time when we're all drunk.
I could get drunk.
It's gonna be a morning
in the morning
for one
if
of
you
us.
really want me.
Yeah, we could.
We could just plan. We could plan it and plan it for next time. But just shout out again to everyone who joined us live.
Thank you.
Cheers. We're out of here, right?
Yeah, let's get the hell out of here. I'm gonna end the stream now. Goodbye.
Shit.